Another great week in the SEC. Go to Texas A&M midweek, and then host Ole Miss at home. Texas A&M, Billy Kennedy's continuing to build that program, and they're off to a great start. 2 great wins out of the chute. And then Ole Miss is defending NCAA representative for our league, and it's NCAA tournament team for our league, and the conference tournament winner. So, they'll have Marshall Henderson back after not having him for the first couple games, and just another easy week, to say here in the SEC play.
Our first question is from Ron Aiken of Gamecock Central.
Hey, Coach, how are you doing?
Hey, Ron, how are you?
Hey, doing terrific. Just a quick question. You had mentioned on Saturday that you would feel a little more optimistic Monday than you did then. Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. We played a real good LSU team. I mean, look at its, what that team has accomplished up to this point. They lost at UMass, top 20 team in the country at the buzzer. They lost to Memphis, top 20 team in the country in an absolute dogfight. They got beat at home by Tennessee, who top 20 team in the country. And unfortunately, they lost a tough game to Rhode Island, which, it happens to everybody. So we went nose to nose with a real good basketball team, and we just didn't do enough to win. That should not take away from some of the real good things we did to give ourselves a chance to win.
Next question is from Chip Howard of KZNE Radio and College Station.
Frank, I know it's early in the week. I don't know how much opportunity you've had to see A&M yet, but if you've looked at them a little, can you comment on what you've seen so far?
They obviously got a couple transfers in there that have given them a great play and athleticism at the 3 and 4 spots. I think Caruso has really grown in Billy's system. Being around Billy, he's connected with what BK wants, and Fabian Harris now has like all first-year guys in the league, they have their ups and downs. I think you're seeing a much more consistent player to his talent with an understanding of SEC basketball and the staff and everything that goes with it. And then, you have your one mainstay, your rock and Roberson that just gives you unbelievable toughness and energy at the rim. So it appears to be a well-balanced team, and knowing BK, I am not surprised one bit that they're off to the kind of start that they've gotten themselves going with.
Wondering if you could talk a little bit about defensively. They've had some inconsistencies offensively, but defensively, I think they're leading the league in field goal percentage defense.
Well, that's a staple of Billy Kennedy. His teams don't make mistakes on offense. That doesn't mean that they make every shot. It just means they don't make bad mistakes, which never gives you easy shots against his defense. And then they're rock solid. They always, his teams, as soon as they take on his personality, they're connected at the hip defensively, and they play as one. And I think you're starting to see that, and as his program continues to evolve to his liking.
Thank you.
Next up is Ron Morris of the State newspaper in Columbia.
Hey, Frank. What do you think, what's your kind of evaluation of the application of the rules, particularly on defense, and how it's played out, how teams have adapted, and particularly for coaches that seem to pride themselves on pressure defense, has it affected you and your team?
No, it has not affected us one bit. I think too much has been made out of hand checks. I think hand checks have always been called. I don't think that's ever been a problem with officiating. I think it all sounds real good, but I don't think it's never been a problem. I think it's something that's been consistently called, at least in my years in basketball. Where the freedom of movement needs to be emphasized more is off the ball and from the three-point line and in. I used the example of football. When you're in midfield, it's not okay to hold. Well, it should not be allowed. Is holding in midfield the same thing as holding in the red zone? Absolutely. Well, it should be the same in basketball, and I think freedom of movement off the ball is a lot more important, and that's where we all have to look at the game a little closer than the freedom of movement on the ball.
And has it effectively eliminated the flopping from the game? It seems like it has.
I don't think we've ever had a big problem with flopping in college basketball. I think flopping is just something that guys that gain experience. The ones that understand the game better than others know how to sell a call. But I think that was more of an NBA thing than a college thing.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next up is Jerry Tipton of the Lexington Herald-Leader.
Frank, I'm wondering how much Marshall Henderson is like an X factor in terms of trying to deal with, or is he just another player that has a set of strengths and weaknesses, and the coach goes about dealing with him like another player?
I understand the first part of it. I don't understand the second part, Jerry, before I answer your question.
Well, I'm just basically saying, is he an X factor in terms of very unusual to deal with as the opposing coach?
As the opposing coach, he's an unbelievable player. I mean, it's 19 points a game. He's, if you're half a step late, half a second late, it's a three in the basket. He's an unbelievable competitor. I don't think anyone gives him the credit that he deserves for the competitor that he is. He elevates the players around him because of his competitiveness, and I've got a lot of respect for what Marshall Henderson does as a player.